time, interwoven lines collide, in mesh connect, bind, refine.
May I interject?
Oh, hell yes.
Reiterate, we got back, so level meant to be fate.
Well, some years ago, me and a friend of mine, Colin Hewson, we actually made a documentary called All the Ladies, and that was about, I suppose, giving a platform for women that rap, to show actually this is what's going on. Because at the time we made this, it was not, this was kind of pre-Hilltop Hoods, so it was actually an interesting time. It's an interesting historical document, I feel, and it got screened at a lot of festivals and hip hop festivals and stuff. So for me, when we first started that film, we were still being asked that question about why isn't there enough girls in hip hop? Why aren't there more? And I realised that it wasn't necessarily about that. It was about what are we going to do to change that situation? Certainly we've made lots of headway, and part of that was me and another probably 12 group of girls some years ago made Ladies Like a Hip Hop movement, and that was pretty extraordinary for the time. I remember Joelistics from TZU had described us as the female Wu-Tang Clan, which made me laugh. But I still feel like, we've got a long way to go here, and there's a lot to talk. Still gets talked about. Oh, why you have to say you're a female artist or a femc or all this stuff about labels. But the truth is, I think if there's not enough nourishing for anyone, whether you're a woman, whether you're a refugee, whether you're coming into a scene where you are the minority in terms of actively participating in hip hop as a woman, do the maths. There's just not many. So we actually have to make a concerted effort to build that up, and I think most people understand that.
Next big thing, classic.
Now, unfortunately, in Melbourne, there is only a select few of female MCs that, firstly, there's minimal number of female MCs, yeah? I've heard stories where some female MCs have performed, and depending on the hip hop crowd, they hear a lot of misogynist and offensive remarks and very sexist remarks. That shit has to stop. And I say it has to stop because women should not be looked at as sexual objects and that kind of thing. So it's very difficult because I'm sure there are a lot of women that want to stand up and show off their breasts and be womanly in their skin and be able to comfortably perform how they want to. Do they feel restricted in doing that sometimes? Fuck yeah, I would say they would, because when they get on stage, they're going to have people in the crowd a lot of the time just paying them out. We don't get really respected, and it's very hard to gain the respect from the general punters. So far, personally as a DJ, I get to hide behind the decks and the music. I'm sure if I was an MC, I would have a different experience.
I need to take a second just to check myself.
There's the story of when I was doing a show and someone came up to me and said, "Whose girlfriend are you?" And I was just about to do sound check, and then another time when I was on stage and someone just thought I was the dancer and was waiting for me to dance. I know a fair few girls who wanted to do it or have wanted to be a rapper, but have kind of seen how hard it is, or the troubles that girls have from an outsider's perspective. I think we get judged a lot more harsh than guys on appearance and stuff like that, and I think some of those girls have decided not to pursue it, or they've kind of just started to do it and then encountered these kind of problems, and yeah, I think some people have really just decided that that's not for them, because it is really taxing sometimes. You just have to go onto YouTube and look at some of the female rapper videos and have a look at the comments on there, and I've had some bad comments that really affected me, especially when I was a bit younger and just came out and I had my first video and was really excited and it's hard, and I think people, other women might see that and just go, nah, I'm not putting myself out there to be judged like that, and that's fair enough. I totally understand that. So. But on that note, I think it's so important and to get the courage and to not worry about what people think and just do it, because it needs to happen. You need to get yourself out there, and when it does happen, it's a beautiful thing.
I mean, it'd be pretty naive of me to say that women are influenced, in the sense that they're not deterred, from hip hop. I know that they are. I know that when it comes to, they see all these males doing their male thing and all this, and that's a bit of a deterrent for them, and I get that. But I think it's a shame, man, because that's like half of the people, man. You know what I mean? That's a lot of fucking people who choose not to participate, and that's shit, because it's all about numbers. It's always about numbers. If you've got the numbers, you survive, man.
There's just a lack of women doing it compared to men, so it tends to be a very masculine dominated scene. So sometimes at its extreme, you'll be at a hip hop gig and you'll be surrounded by 95% dudes. There's a lot of masculine energy in the air. It can be pretty intense. It's not a particularly inviting scene for women. And I've seen some of my female friends get on stage in those environments and find it really difficult. But I think there's also pockets of the scene that is responding a lot better to female rappers who've got something to say and don't just sort of put them up there on stage as a sex object.
Like you said, as the scene expands and there is a lot more different types of music and different types of hip-hop, instead of that one genre used to be, back in the day, used to be a very male-dominated, very heavy hip-hop genre, and now that it's expanding out a bit more, like into different styles of hip-hop, I think there's a lot more women coming out and realising they can actually take it a different way. It can be hip-hop and they can expand it to a different sort of style of hip-hop.
My personal opinion, speaking from experience, I do think it is harder for women in the hip-hop game. But in saying that, we can tend to make that work a little bit better. It depends on how you handle feedback, and a lot of people, if things get too hard, they will tend to just quit the game and leave. But for a lot of females out there, I think we just kind of use that fuel, for our fire. It just, that hate tends to feed us more. We just want to keep coming and coming and coming.
Kind of confused. Good topic, because I have issues with this all the time. I am pretty boisterous. I always have been. When I'm on stage sometimes, especially because I wear baggy clothes, hats, all the rest, and I'm not so much of an aggressive rapper, but I'm pretty out there. Like, not out there as in, ooh, yeah, crazy, but I spit my shit pretty firmly. So sometimes I get a little bit paranoid, and I've had my mates say it to me as well. I could see when you get into that, I can see when you do that. Don't do that. Just enjoy what you're doing, and it does fuck with your head. You're like, oh, do they think I'm trying to be hardcore, or am I being too full on? But if I try and be girly, it doesn't work for me because I don't feel comfortable, and it's just not who I am. So I've had to learn to embrace the masculinity, if you will, and make that a part of who Jemima Jones is, and not so much walk out, going, yeah, fucking whatever, but be still a female that just represents myself, how I represent myself. I'm not going to necessarily get up in a miniskirt because I think that's what you need to do if you're a chick. Some chicks do that, and that's what works for them. I wouldn't put them in my clothes, and say you need to be more hardcore, because that doesn't work.
Here we go again, 1, 2, 3, then 4. Chances you had, now you get no more. I'm bored and sore from hauling your corpse. What's the point in the plant when you're back at dead horse? Sit down, I don't need your applause. Thanks to you, I'm aware of my...
The greatest entertainment since Space Invaders, love us or hate us. At the end of the day, we all players, doped up on fresh to death and lightsabers. Modern day crusaders, educated by the street TV and lolly papers. The kids pissing off the neighbours. Fuck yeah, that's us, we off tap, can you blame us? Funny enough, the neighbours here, from this all the way to the end, is Victorian Police Transport Depot. So these cameras here, which go down to the front, and all the way down to the end of the block, it's where all the drug busters live, all the cop cars. So they're the neighbours that we're pissing off. They love it. They don't really.